What's up, Genshin Impact players? Banner news just dropped. As always, we're gonna go over the banner, what's good about it, what's bad. We're all very excited for Wanderer, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about all of the things that you need to know going into this banner. What's gonna be worth it, what's not, you know the drill. So if you want to see everything there is to see, it's all posted on Twitter, but it also is in-game in the notices section. So we're gonna go over here to event, and as you can see, the wishes are all here. And then if you want to see the weapon details, we'll take a look at those in a little bit as well. Now the splash art for Wanderer looks so freaking cool. The fact that the colors are like different from your other animo units, and then there's other lights going off. You can tell based on what they sort of told us about how his kit works, he's going to work really well with other elements and gain some like buffs and things, and that's pretty cool. And you can see it in the splash art, so I really like that. The 4 stars we're going to see on his banner are Faruzan, Goro, and Yanfei. So we have 2 dedicated buffers, and we have Yanfei, who unironically can be a buffer if you give her Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers. Now, what's really cool about this banner is that these characters are characters that people may not actually have lots of constellations of, because they're all characters that have released later in the game. So even if these aren't characters that you particularly want because you don't think you'll use them, the fact that you'll be able to get constellations on some characters that you may already not have C6 is pretty good. But right off the bat, we don't know exactly Faruzan or Wanderer's power level, so I'm not going to tell you whether or not to pull based off of Faruzan and Wanderer. However, I can tell you what we do know about Faruzan is she's going to help out animo units a lot by being a dedicated animo support, and it's entirely possible that she may actually outdo Bennett and Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers for some animo units, just because the ability to shred animo resistance is so good. Now, with that being said, we can't really tell until the character is released. It's possible she could have Constellation Lock or something like that. So it's really important not to get super overhyped, because that can just lead to, you know, disappointment, and nobody likes that. But we do know Goro is very, very good. And it makes sense that Goro would be running here too, because Ito is the other character that's going to be a 5-star on. So Goro actually with constellations becomes extremely valuable. He's already pretty good in Geo team at C0, but like his constellations add some value. His C6 gives you crit damage on Geo characters, or Geo damage specifically, and that is really valuable. Goro also runs Favonius, which helps with battery. You can also run Exile, which can help with battery. So lots of good stuff. These 2 dedicated supports look like they're going to be pretty good. Well, we know Goro is good. Faruzan looks like she's going to be good. Yanfei is actually another good unit though, and I think a lot of people don't know this about Yanfei, so I want to kind of tell you guys. Yanfei is a character that can be played as a support at Constellation 4. At Constellation 4, Yanfei gets a shield. Now, her shield only activates on her burst, so it does have an energy cost effectively, but it's a pretty strong constellation, and let me show you why. Creates a shield that absorbs up to 45% of Yanfei's max HP for 15 seconds. Now, it's only a 15-second shield. 45% of HP though is pretty good. I have level 80 Yanfei with basically just like no artifacts on or anything. But if you gave her an HP book like Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers that buffs the next character in your party, by the way, or give her Prototype Amber, which is another HP book that helps you generate her burst back, and you give her like triple HP artifacts, her HP can get pretty high, and that shield will end up saving you quite a bit of health. So unironically, Shield Fae can be pretty good, and the fact you can use Thrilling Tales or Prototype Amber on her will make her good. So if you do happen to get Constellation 4 Yanfei, she's very useful. Outside of that, can be a pyro carry. There's lots of pyro carries in the game. It's completely up to you if you want to do that. So in my opinion, the characters on this banner are valuable based on the fact that you probably don't have them C6. If you do have them C6, then the 4-star value drops a little bit. And if you were just considering trying to get some of these characters or going for Faruzan, but you already have C6 Yanfei, you already have C6 Goro, and you don't really want Wanderer too much, then I don't really recommend pulling on this. Faruzan will come back on future banners. I don't know when it'll be, obviously, but she will be back, and she's not a character that you should feel like you have to get right now. As far as Wanderer goes, it's going to be pretty hard for him to be bad. I can't say for sure if he's going to be broken. I can't say for sure if he's going to be good. He's an animo unit and he is a carry, so it looks like he's probably going to be pretty good. It's hard for animo units to be bad just by their nature. And come on, can you imagine the outrage if Wanderer was bad? World crime rates increase by 200%. Like, there's no way this guy is bad, right? But if you want to know, stay tuned for my Wanderer review and guide that'll be out basically on day 1. So as far as Ito goes, solid Geo carry. If you want to play Geo, you get Ito. If you don't want to play Geo, don't get Ito. It's pretty simple. I actually think this is a pretty good banner for 4 stars. You might disagree, and that's totally fine. But from my perspective, as these characters are all characters that have released late and all have valuable constellations, I do think this is a pretty good banner. So next up, let's talk about the weapon banner here. As we always do, we get to talk in depth about what's good and bad about this. As you can see, we have Redhorn Stone Thresher, and we have the sequel, the long-awaited sequel to the Bell 2. Now, the Bell 2 2 is honestly a pretty decent catalyst if you're going to use on-field carries. I think someone like Hazo could benefit from this a lot. However, there's not a lot of catalysts that you use on-field and try to build for crit. There are some, and for those characters, this can be a good weapon. However, it's mostly tailor-made for Scaramouche, and you can see this in the stats, which I'll pull up right now just so you guys can see. So here's the weapon. Normal attack speed is increased by 10%. After the wielder unleashes elemental skill, normal attack damage increases every second for 14 seconds. After this character hits an opponent with a normal attack damage will be increased again. So basically, it's just you're just increasing normal attack damage, and you have attack speed buff, which is pretty good. It has a crit damage main stat and really high base attack. That's 674 is your Skyward Heart base attack. So overall, it's a pretty solid weapon in general. There's a lot of good catalysts in the game. You don't necessarily need this one, but if you're pulling for Wanderer, obviously it's going to be a solid weapon on him. One thing to think about though is that it doesn't buff charged attacks. So if it turns out that Wanderer ends up being a charged attack carry or a character that spams charged attacks a lot, this weapon could lose quite a bit of value. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now on the other side, Rendhorn Stone Thresher, this is basically a weapon for defense scaling characters. Your Noelle and Ito will love this, and other characters that don't scale off of defense can still use it because it has a really high crit damage stat. So basically, if you use Redhorn on non-defense scaling characters, you're gonna want to make sure that you have lots of attack on your substats just to sort of compensate, because in exchange for incredibly high crit damage, you have pretty low base attack. But overall, it's a decent weapon, and honestly, it just kind of looks really good on everyone. So if you're just playing Fashion Impact, like, you can't really go wrong with it. Sacrificial Sword is really good for Xingqiu, and he's basically a staple unit. Wavebreaker's Fin is right over here, and this is going to be a super good weapon for Xiangling and for actually a lot of polearm characters that want to use their burst or get burst damage. Rosaria can use this as well, and it's pretty good. Pavoni's Great Sword is all right. There's not really a lot of characters that take advantage of this right now. Pavonius Warbow, however, very good. Your Goro wants it, your Yelan wants it, your Venti could want it, depending on the content. Your Diona could use it. Lots of characters can use Favonius Warbow. And then Eye of Perception is going to be just an okay free-to-play option for Wanderer, is my guess. That being said, Eye of Perception is something that there's just a lot of better options than. So yeah, I don't know. For the weapon banner, it's all just kind of meh. It's all middle of the pack. Don't feel pressured like you need to get any of these weapons. But if you decide to pull for them, it's not a particularly bad weapon banner. It's just not a very good one. And because of how the weapon banner works, where you have a 75-25 chance of getting the event weapon versus a random weapon, and then you have a 50-50 between the two weapons, and you have to go to pity 3 times to guarantee, I just generally don't think it's a good idea. But you can make your own decisions. You're smart. You're watching Braxophone. You got this. But yeah, that's basically all my thoughts on these banners. To be honest, there's nothing that's super compelling or eye-opening or anything to be excited about other than Farazan and Wanderer finally being here. Finally having an Animo support is going to be cool. Having Wanderer be here, or I also like to call him Mr. Moosh. Having Mr. Moosh here is also pretty cool because we've been waiting like 2 years for this character, so it's good to finally see him here. But anyways, if you guys like this sort of video, if you guys enjoyed, if you guys want to see the best build for Scaramouche, some gameplay and all of that, reviews, all that sorts of content, make sure to subscribe right down below. Hit the like button on this video so YouTube knows it doesn't suck. And I would love to see more of you guys around in the community. We have a Discord, we have a Twitter, we have a Twitch, which I plan on going live again sometime soon, now that I'm finally not sick. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Braxophone, and I'll catch you guys next time.